All right, welcome back. We are ACI Course 11, Class 8. It's February 6, 2026. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do. Please bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom, and see them there with you just by way of your thinking of them. They are gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about karma and emptiness, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with that intention, we turn our minds back to our precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet, to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, 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 Teach me that, show me that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. Our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with the blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. We are studying Master Shantideva's Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life, and we are in the chapter on meditation. And amongst other things, last class we learned the definition of meditative quietude and special vision. And remember, when we get definitions, we want to use the precise words that were given, because the translation has been made very carefully. So for quietude meant that meditative quietude, shamatha in Sanskrit, shine in Tibetan. The definition is, you all know, that single-mindedness which is imbued with the exceptional bliss of practiced ease due to deep single-pointed meditation on its object. There's a lot packed into those words. Then, that special insight, Laktong in Tibetan, Vipassana in Sanskrit, that wisdom, which is full of the exceptional bliss of practiced ease by the power of the analysis of its object, which is founded upon quietude. Like, what does that really mean? And we unpack it in other classes, not this one. But we understand what it's trying to say. Shamatha is the level of mental concentration that we need to be able to reach and sustain deeply enough that our awareness is withdrawn from the sensory input deeply enough that if any of those seeds were to ripen at the moment of death, it would actually be the result of the first level of the form realm rebirth, which is not what we want at all. But that level of concentration is the necessary platform from which we can sustain the concentration that's needed to sustain the direct perception of emptiness. So we don't just sit there in a causal meditation level on our breath or on a candle. We use a powerful karmic object, and then we don't also just sit with our focus on the object. We sooner or later turn our mind to the analysis of the true nature of that mental image that we're holding before us. So, Master Shantideva has been instructing us in how to cultivate this Wempa, this isolation, meaning the ability to isolate ourselves from our usual habit patterns of thinking and behaving is where we're going with our isolation. But it starts with the ability to actually withdraw ourselves physically from time to time from our normal daily routines of life, so that we have a chance to recognize more clearly, more directly, how our mind is operating, how we and our mind are operating. Yeah, period. Finish that sentence. The reason we're learning to cultivate this Wempa, this isolation, is that increases our ability to gain some control over our mental afflictions. And then with the goodness we do from that, we can cultivate the direct perception of emptiness, which is the doorway to the end of all those mental afflictions. It's one thing to manage our mental afflictions as they arise, to not act from them. It's another to not have them all together. It's hard to even imagine. All those mental afflictions and the seeds for more of them are the reasons why we suffer. So all our unhappiness, the unhappiness we experience and the unhappiness that we see in our world, is all because of these mental afflictions and the behaviors that we do as a result. So this next part of his chapter, he's going into what a physical isolation, the advantage of putting ourselves in physical isolation. Whoopsie. Try that again. Yeah. So he's talking here about what a retreat place would be like. So what we do with our physical isolation, cultivation, is that from time to time, we remove ourselves from our ordinary daily life routine and put ourselves in a place where we have none of those regular obligations. And in fact, we put ourselves in a space where our day is so simplified and so routine that we actually have fewer and fewer decisions to make, because we have our schedule laid out. we have what we're going to eat already pre-decided or prearranged. So there's not the constant, what do I do next? What am I going to eat today? Who's waiting for me? What appointment am I missing? Right? All of those things that we handle as effective human beings. But all of that busyness with obligations makes it really, really difficult to get off the automatic pilot of the reaction to all the things that are happening along the way. In our daily life, hopefully we're cultivating our meditation practice so that for at least an hour or maybe two, we are isolating. But then we get right up and go back to 22 or 23 other hours where we're right back in our old habit pattern. When we are recognizing the functioning of this concept, the marriage of karma and emptiness, at some point it will occur to us, maybe I need to extract myself from my daily life for a little bit and see if I can get my meditation to go deeper, and so that I can get my understanding to go deeper, so that I can cultivate my ability to not react to those mental afflictions so automatically as I did before. And we really can't just say, okay, I'm going to leave for a year without having some training as to what to do while you are in that isolated place. Because if we go into an isolated place and just have nothing to do, right, that won't work either. We'll find stuff to do. We'll make ourselves nuts, in fact. So then where we go also has an impact on the effectiveness of what we do while we are in there. And so recall that he's talking to monks in a big monastery, which, yes, they are withdrawn from home life, but they're still they're studying, they're running the monastery, they're interacting with each other. It's still a quite busy life, as monastics, no doubt. And so he says, in terms of cultivating this physical isolation, withdrawing themselves from their daily routine, we spend our days in gentle walks and thoughts of helping others, here in the silent peace of the forest, flowing in soft breezes. We live doing as we please in our mansion of a wide flat rock, cool with the touch of moonlight and sandalwood scent of the holy, meaning some high spiritual practitioner has done their retreat there. Living deep within the woods of peacefulness, completely emptied of conflict and afflictions. That kind of implies that if you move out to the woods and live by yourself, your mental afflictions will go away by themselves. Guess what? They don't. But if we don't have all those distractions of daily life, we can be aware of those mental afflictions as they arise and not respond to them or respond differently, such that they will arise and pass and we won't replant them, or at least won't replant them in our same old habitual way that's been driving our suffering life. We live where we please as long as we like, in abandoned houses or caves, or else at the foot of a tree. We have given up the suffering of owning and protecting things. Carefree we live, relying upon nothing. So he does not mean go out in the woods and live forever. And also for our my puny body mind, I couldn't just go live at the base of a tree. I need a roof over my head. I need water. I need some way to store food so I don't have to have somebody else come in every day. I know that I have needs in order to keep this body alive. But mainly what's happening when we remove ourselves from our daily situation and put ourselves into a space for a period of time that's free of all those obligations is that this constant, they call it this constant suffering of wanting to get something I don't have, and the suffering of needing to protect that which I have finally gotten. It's two different kinds of sufferings. One is called mebe dunya, the suffering of wanting something, which means it's on my mind. How do I get it? What do I have to do? When am I going to get it? All of that colors my behavior. And then once I get it, I have to not lose it. I have to protect it. And now as I'm getting older, I realize I have to remember where it is. Like I have to remember what it's about, which is actually, it seems automatic when I'm younger, but now it's like, ooh. So Geshe-la's example was, suppose, at work, we really, really want our supervisor's job. We want that promotion. We want that role. We want that responsibility. And we're figuring out how to position ourselves to be the one that's chosen when that position comes up, right? It's a suffering to not have what we want. And then suppose we get it. Now we know that there's somebody else that wants that job from me. And they're positioning themselves to get that job, to be seen as maybe even better than me in that role. And now I've got the suffering of needing to protect and keep what it is I finally got. So we think, oh, if I get that position, then I'll be happy. And it's like you just have a different kind of struggle. And then, of course, you have the struggle of the job itself and doing it well, all those other things as well. So when we take time to go isolate ourselves physically, we can finally let go of that swing between I don't have, I want, I have to keep. No, what's next? Who do I owe something to? What obligation, what appointment? All of that we are free of for the period of time we are in retreat. So maybe we start with just 2 weeks. And when we first go into our retreat, our mind is still tending to go, oh, yeah, but what about so-and-so? What about that? We even might think, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell Frank where the hidden house key is. And our mind is going to say, I've got to call him, right? I've got to go tell him. And once we're in our retreat, it's like, no, once you're in, you're in. And so eventually, that habitual habit pattern of what am I responsible for? What do I need to take care of? It still happens, but you're in a position where you can't act on them. You have your practice to do. And all this other stuff has to just get let go. And it does finally start to settle down. Geshe-la says it takes about 2 weeks for all of that to finally go down to the background. And at that point, we can actually start growing this deeper awareness and focus more deeply into the practice that we're there to do. So that means if we never go into an isolated retreat that's more than 2 weeks long, we're probably never going to recognize what it's like to have a mind that finally isolates from our outer world life and reaches into the space of having this time to really focus on whatever our focus of attention is for that retreat, which shows that we need some training and something that we are going to work with in a given retreat. We just don't go in to be isolated. But we are free for that period of time of all those worldly obligations. And we get training in how to go into retreat, how to prepare your life before you go into retreat. That's different classes. What he's wanting, what Geshe Michael is hoping to do is enthuse us with the idea. And we start with group retreat. When we go to a teaching, right, we're in a different mind space there than our usual life. And then we realize, whoa, that's just too busy. And we do a long weekend on our own, and then maybe 10 days, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And slowly, according to our own need, capacity, and circumstance, we find what works for us and our family and our lives as to how long we stay in retreat, how often we go in. So we do all this effort in retreat, and then we come out of retreat. And it's so frustrating because our habit patterns slide right back in so quickly. But we've had a taste of what it's like to be outside of those habit patterns for a little while. And that shows us that we can do it. Yeah, I can do it when I'm all by myself. But it means we can do it. So it can be really, really helpful. So once we have reached that place of giving up all those useless thoughts, the term is namtok. I'll show you the vocabulary a little bit later. All those worries and concerns that keep coming up, once we've got those settled down, Geshe-la says it's like we find ourselves in a vacuum. I don't know, I don't experience it that way. But finally, there's this space available. And what do we put? What do we fill that space with? What do we do in all this time that we have that's up to us to decide how to use it? Finally, Master Shantideva says the best thing to spend our mental efforts on is the wish for enlightenment, bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, we've learned, I want to reach my total Buddhahood so that I can benefit every existing being. And for the benefit of all beings, I want to become a totally enlightened being. And those words are packed, right? We've spent a couple of years now growing our understanding of what we mean by bodhicitta. What do we mean by total enlightenment? What do we mean by the benefit of all beings? What do we mean about becoming that? Okay. So, how do we do it? All right. Put an end to useless thoughts and meditate upon the wish for enlightenment. From the very beginning, exert yourself in the practice of treating others and yourself the same. When the happiness and the sufferings are the same, then you will care for all just as you do yourself. And this is so profound. Geshe Michael says it for most of us, it goes right over our heads. How significant this is. We pull ourselves away from everybody. And then what we practice is how to treat everyone with the same concern as we treat ourselves. Well, how do I learn to do that if I'm there all by myself? Maybe I have a gnat or some ants to interact with, or maybe the birds outside, but I'm all by myself. How can I learn to treat others better when I'm all by myself? Don't I need the others? Yes, we need the others. When we are in our ordinary habit pattern, that ordinary habit pattern is me and you is you. And I have wants and I have needs. And I'm hardwired to keep myself safe. I'm hardwired to recognize whether you are a threat or not. And that means my me is always more important than you. Whether you is you, somebody I love, or you is somebody I don't even know, or you is somebody I don't like, whether you is human or not human, any conscious being. We have this instant me versus you, me versus you. And that's born of our ignorance, our belief that there's a me self-existently, a me that exists independent of I don't know how to continue that sentence without it taking an hour to explain. A me that's independent of this projection, this projection, this projection. Right? Highest worldview. So Master Shantideva says, the most powerful thing we can fill our mind with is this concern, growing this concern for others' happiness and freedom from suffering to be the same as our concern for our freedom from suffering and getting happy. The practice of treating others and myself the same. Think of the last time you didn't feel well. Maybe you had a sore throat coming on, a head cold, or you strained your back. Something's gone wrong. And, immediately we're focused solely on what do I need to do to manage this, right? We take care of ourselves so automatically, so naturally. But then we come across somebody else who we see has a head cold. Maybe our sensitivity is enough to go, oh, I'm so sorry you have a head cold. But we don't immediately go get them the vitamin A, the guaifenesin, the vitamin C, right? We don't do for them what we automatically do for ourselves to take care of it. And it's like, come on, I'm human, right? It's their head cold. I'm so sorry they have it. If I could fix it, I would. I can't. But we don't do that to ourselves. Oh, I'm sorry you have a head cold, buddy. If I could fix it, I would, but I can't. See ya. We don't do that. But what if our concern, our care for the other was as much as our care for ourselves? He's not saying stop caring about yourself, just care about others. He's saying there's really no logical reason that we don't act towards others' pain and happiness as we do for our own, because technically there's no difference. Now, wait a minute, there is two difference, right? Triple berry pie is the best pie in the world. You say no pumpkin. So there is a difference. But the happiness, is there a difference in the happiness that comes? It's like, yeah, your happiness of your pumpkin pie and my happiness of my triple berry pie. I can't say they're the same happinesses because one's caused by triple berry pie and one's caused by pumpkin pie, right? Wrong. They're both those happinesses are caused by having brought some happiness to somebody else, whether it's pumpkin pie happiness or berry pie happiness or mud pie happiness. The happiness is the same. The desire for happiness is the same. My desire for happiness, your desire for happiness, the gnat's desire for happiness, the mosquito's desire for happiness, and what's meant by happiness. The desire for happiness is the same. The wanting to avoid suffering is the same. The sufferings are different. The experiences are different. But the suffering is the thumbs down, I want to avoid. That's the same. And that's the point he's trying to make. But he's going to go deeper. It's one thing to say, yeah, self-existent me suffers. Self-existent you suffers. By way of my suffering, I can understand your suffering. I don't like it. I'll try to help. That's a high practice right there. But ultimately, that's not what he's talking about. When the happiness and suffering of myself and the other are the same, then I will care for all just as I do myself. Dak Shen Yampa is what he's talking about. Dak means me. Shen means other. Nyampa means equal. Me, other, exactly the same. This is the practice he's teaching us about. Do you remember back in Death Meditation Practice module? Wow, 17 lifetimes ago, it seems like. We learned that the highest practice, remember the blue door, is growing our bodhicitta, and there were two ways to grow our bodhicitta. And the way we learned there was exchanging self and others. And there were those three levels of exchanging self and others. And the highest level was this expanding ourself to include others. This is what he's talking about. Self, other, exactly the same. But that we understand that at different layers. Yes, we're all the same in wanting happiness and wanting to avoid suffering. Yes, we're all the same in the sense that we all misunderstand where our world comes from. But are we all one and the same? That's where it starts to get slippery. No, we are not all one and the same. We are not one thing that seems to be multiple things. We all have our own mind stream. And is there anything that you can experience that exists outside of the projections that this mind stream is? If there were to exist something outside of your own projectings happening, how would you know it? How could you establish it if it was outside of your experience? Can you know something that's outside of your experience? No. Can we experience anything that's outside of our projection? No. But I check my mind hearing those words and it's going, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. So is there an other? Is there a self and an other experience that we can have where any part of that is outside of our projections happening? No. So what is that other person? Does it make them not real? Oh, they're just part of my movie. No, that's what makes them real because it's always been like that. It's not that, oh my gosh, now I know karma and emptiness. Now they're all my projections, whereas before they were self-existent. They were never self-existent. They were never anything outside of each unique individual's experience of them. Yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but then I'm the only one who really exists. No, because my I am is part of every projection as well. And it couldn't have an I without another, could it? So my me depends on there being others, and the others depend on there being a me that perceives them in the way that I do. And we all exist in that kind of relationship, and we always have. So then, are all of those others a part of you or not? Right? And we feel our mind go, no, they're not a part of me because me is here and they are there. If they were a part of me, right, then I wouldn't end here. I would end over there, right? Your head. So he actually goes there. So, we hear of amazing individuals in life. The example that inspires me is, of course, His Holiness, but closer to home, Mother Teresa. And even before I had much appreciation for spirituality, I had read an article about her and how she cared for the leper population in India, uh, just unhesitantly stepping in and cleaning their wounds and feeding them and touching them. And the interviewer was saying, how do you do that? How do you go to the leper colony and interact with them like that? And her answer was she was puzzled. She said, I don't understand why you're asking me that question. I see the face of God in each one of them and I love them. What do you do when you love somebody? We take care of them. We care about whether they're hurting. We care about whether they're getting what they want. We care. And so she just did. And it's so inspiring. And I remember thinking, wow, how amazing that must feel to really love like that. And then my mind was, I can't do that. No way. But then, fast forward, I'm learning a practice that, we can all do that. We all have the capacity because our true nature is blank. We have the capacity to be anything for anybody. Also that most awful being, we have that capacity as well. Mm. So the reason we don't care for others as we care for ourselves is because we're forced to perceive them as separate from ourselves. They are separate from ourselves, but they're not separate from our experience. As long as we still hold them as them and me as me, we will also be grasping to our me as more important. So he goes through these series of explanations, this logical progression of how we can care for others as much as we care for ourselves. And that's real bodhicitta. Not just the wish to care for others, but doing it, feeling it. And to have this as our permanent address, my friend Petra would call it, to have bodhicitta as my permanent address is a major achievement in a human life. Like we have this goal, see emptiness directly, see emptiness directly. But to have the direct experience of bodhicitta has a major impact on our mind stream, as almost as much as a major impact as direct perception of emptiness. The direct experience of bodhicitta doesn't stop the ignorance, doesn't stop the ignorance from being replanted the way direct perception of emptiness bodhicitta does. But the direct perception of emptiness bodhicitta will not be the cause for reaching total Buddhahood, omniscience, unless it's colored by this appearing side bodhicitta, which that also has a direct experience. So that we've heard the direct experience of the appearing side bodhicitta is that heart opening where the liquid light comes pouring out of us. We see the face of every existing being and we love them, right? That's the critical piece. We can see the face of every living being and go, wow, that's cool. But what happens, it's the love that's going out that reveals all of those beings. It's the love, that feeling of what is the word love is trying to convey. And that feeling is the all of those beings, they are all, putting words to it decreases its power. I want to say, I will bring you to freedom from suffering. Like the love is the recognition that the one having that experience is the one that is the source of their ultimate happiness. Okay? Not in words, in feeling. And then it ceases. And then, right, we go on with life. Having had this experience once, we are forever changed. Wouldn't we be? Because it's also a direct realization, meaning an experience we have that nobody can come to us and say, nah, that wasn't really special. Like once you've ridden the bike, nobody can say, no, that's not what it's like to ride a bike. It's like, excuse me, but yes, it is. I did it, even if we never do it again. Same with this heart-opening bodhicitta. So technically, it's as important as direct perception of emptiness, because direct perception of emptiness without it is the cause for our nirvana, which great, nirvana would be great. But it's not the ultimate goal. So for a Mahayanist, this bodhicitta, this love, this experience of ultimate love is critically important. And how do we grow it? How do we create it? Here. This practice of learning to work for the happiness of every different being with the same impulse as I work for my own happiness. So our minds go, yeah, but. And Master Shantideva addresses those yeah, but. So our yeah, but says, Master Shantideva, you're telling me that every exchanging myself, no, me, others exactly the same. If I'm walking around with that attitude, then if I see anybody who has worn out shoes, I would immediately take them and get them new shoes. If I come across anyone who appears to be hungry, I would immediately go and get them some food. Sick, I would immediately go help them in whatever way I can. Is that what you're saying, Master Shantideva? He says, yes. And they say, well, then I would never get to work because everybody I pass by has some kind of need. I don't have the resources to buy everybody's shoes. I don't have the resources to do that. And, you know, Master Shantideva, he's going to say, right. And it's only true because we haven't considered the needs and wants of others as equal to our own. So we don't have the seeds to have the resources, either physical resources, time resources, emotional resources, mental resources, to handle every being's need. But he says, come on. The instant your 15 kids need food, you make lunch. Right? The instant somebody who's important to you needs shoes, you go buy them shoes. We even buy ourselves new shoes before our old ones are worn out. He says it's just habit. even our belief that we don't have the tools and resources to take care of everybody is just habit. It's not habit, but it is definitely karma forced on us by past considering our own needs as more important than others' needs. He keeps saying, Dakshen Yamba, me, others, exactly the same. So he goes into, look, as long as we're still thinking of me and other as separate, we really can't force ourselves to take care of them with the same automaticity as we take care of ourselves. But let's think this through. Where does our me end and my you begin? Does my me end at my skin? Yeah, but what about my hair? It goes out this far. What about when my hair grows out? And then do I go out this far all of a sudden? Whereas before I only went out that far? Like, where does my me end? Where my me end change? I just showed you that it does, doesn't it? You put on weight and your me ends out here. You lose weight and your me ends here. And yet we hold my me to end somewhere the same as long as me. He's pointing out how illogical we are. Why is logic important? Because everything is cause-effect. Every experience we have has to have a cause. It is a result of a cause. And to be illogical would be random causes. But random causes are not causes. They're just random stuff happening. It really is a logical process. So if we look at our own lives, watch a mother with her small child. A mother with an infant for sure. The infant is still an extension of her. Isn't it? You who have had kids, not just little ones. As an infant, it's still a part of you in a way. And you are so attentive to that infant's needs, really even in front of yourself. Probably dads too, to some extent. The child's need takes precedent. That's actually not what we're talking about in self-other exactly the same. It's not about putting others' needs ahead of our own. That in the end leads to resentment. There's still a gross or subtle self-benefit that is motivating us as long as the other is his point. So then as the child differentiates more and more, even when they're 2, 3, 4 years old, mom's so attentive to them that if somebody acts in a way that affronts that child, mom feels the affront. Not physically feels it, but she's as offended as the child. Maybe the child isn't even offended, but mom is. And then slowly, right, the kids grow up, they get to be adults. We somehow manage that separation. And then, right, it's different if those others have not been our child. We don't have that history with them. So Master Shantideva so he says, number one, we can see that as humans, we can do it. We can treat another equally or even higher than ourselves. Number two, he says, look at how we relate to some of our things. We actually extend our sense of self to include our things. And Geshe-la's example was, suppose that you finally get that car of your dreams and you've gone to the mall, it's in the parking lot, and you come out and you see all the cars in the parking lot have been keyed, right? Scratched in the same way. And you think, oh man, that's awful. All those cars have gotten scratched by some jerk. But it's like they better not have done that to my car. And then you get to your car and it's got the scratch too. And suddenly, whoa, we're offended. My car, they did that to my car. And it's evidence, says Master Shantideva, that we have extended our sense of self to include our car, or else we would not be offended that they did that to me. So he's using those examples. Master Shantideva didn't use the car, of course. But that the fact that we already extend our sense of self to include others and to include stuff. So to say, I can't be as concerned for others' needs as I am for myself. He says, don't say you can't, because you already do when you want to. So to say I can't do that with everybody is just because we don't want to. And maybe we don't want to because we don't think we can, right? Or we are afraid that if we do, we'll get swallowed up, right? The mental afflictions that prevent us from jumping into this practice are just parts of our wrong view, our habit pattern. And that's what he's going to point out, that we have the capacity to grow this experiencing self and other as identical in our wish for happiness and our avoiding suffering, and recognize how we do have the power to act from that concern. That when we expand our sense of self to include other, we will naturally, habitually care for them identically to how we care for ourselves, because they are part of ourselves. And again, it's like, oh, we have the kawa, the goodness, to hear that and maybe feel inspired. And then in the next instant, yeah, but what would happen if I actually did that? So let's take our break, and he's going to address our other yeah buts.
Namaste, Rani.
Yes.
We always hear that you have the direct perception of emptiness, and if we have the Mahayana aspiration, then the direct perception of the bodhicitta is coming with that. But you can have the direct perception without this experience, and then you're an arhat and you reach nirvana. But can you, no?
Well, not immediately arhat, but on your way to arhat.
But on the way, is it also so that you can have the direct perception of the bodhicitta, but there's not coming the direct perception of emptiness on the hill?
Yes.
Yeah. So they
Yes.
can happen independently of each other. It's not that they come along together.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
I just noticed why there's no perfection of wisdom here.
We
I
haven't
guess,
gotten there yet. We're working on bodhicitta.
but I think perfection of wisdom come after the meditation, isn't it?
Right. It's the next chapter.
Oh.
We have to be at the platform of shamatha before we can
Means
reach
next-
perfection of meditation, right?
You mean next chapter is 12, is it?
I'm sorry.
Next chapter is 12, is it? Next chapter.
Correct.
Okay. Thank
Course
you.
12. Right.
Another question, teacher.
Okay, quick.
Okay, just now I was thinking, why Hinayana I mean teaching is at Southeast Asia area. The history, I think this one I asked before, isn't it? And then Tibet and China are Mahayana. So and Hinayana, I suppose, is Abhidhamma, this kind of teaching. And why is that so already? Yeah?
That's too long a story for break time.
Means that other times.
Yeah, yeah. I'll try to explain. I don't know the details, but I have a overview. Geshe has explained it.
After class?
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, at the end of class will be fine.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I can't see everybody. Is Roxana back? There she is. So Master Shantideva's next argument is because of us saying, no, there's too many others. Okay, I can expand my sense of self to my family, maybe even my neighbors. But beyond that, come on, there's just too many. And Master Shantideva says, well, okay, let's check that out. Think of your hands and legs. How many are there? Okay, 4, right? 2 hands, 2 legs, that's 4. Are they you or are they not you? Well, they're part of me. They're part of my body, right? So are they one thing or are they many things? Well, there's four. And actually, the one thing, my hand, it's got these other things. And same for my toes. So my legs, right? Wait, so maybe there's, I don't know, 6 things here because there's all 5 and then there's the whole. But then you've got more than 6 things because you've got all these combinations. It's like, okay, there's many. Well, are all those many things you or not? Well, yeah, I guess they are all me. They make up me. Why? Why is this me? Kong Li, hold up your hand, please. Why is that not me? And we would say, well, because I can feel this one and I can't feel that one. Right? Even if we were close by, I'd say, I can feel it, but I feel it in this one, not in that one. So that makes that one not me and this one me because I can feel when somebody pokes a pin in this one. I can't feel when somebody pokes a pin in that one. Therefore, this is me, that is not me. Master Shantideva says, yeah, but wait a minute. There are people whose limbs are numb. And you poke a pin in them and they don't feel it. So by your logic, that means that hand is not a part of them. And of course we say, don't be silly. Of course it's a part of them, whether they feel it or not. And he says, right. So if we can be aware of someone having a sensation in their hand, then it is no different than us being aware of having a sensation in this hand. And we go, no, it's completely different because I feel it there and I don't feel it here. And he goes, yeah, but the numb guy doesn't feel it here either and doesn't feel it there. Right? We can't justify saying that that other person's pain is not mine just because I don't feel it. Do you see where he's going? If I see someone getting poked with a pin and I have the awareness that if that was happening to me, it would hurt, it would be suffering. If it were happening to me, I would act in some way to get that suffering to stop. And yet when I see it happening to you, I don't act in the same way to get the suffering to stop because my misunderstanding mind says, well, that's your problem. Right? And I don't know, my own mind goes, yeah, but it is their problem. It is their karma ripening. I can't change their karma. But for me to be aware of it, whose karma is that? Mine. For somebody to poke a pin in me, whose karma is that? Mine. Why do I act automatically towards one version of my karma and not act automatically to another version of my karma? What karma are we making by only acting to protect this karma, this self of karma ripening, and not acting to protect that self in that karma ripening? Do you see? So as we grow this awareness, self, other, exactly the same, we don't have to feel their pain. But once we are aware of a suffering happening anywhere, our heart mind would say, egads, I need, right, my response, I want my response to be somehow, some way to help with the same automaticity that we do when it's our perception of our own being harmed. Do you see his logic? We don't think we can do it because our seeds make us believe we can't. Our seeds are making us see the suffering to begin with. And so that suffering is within our capacity to do something. I can't. I'm on my way to work. But what are we always doing? We're always breathing. We can always Tonglen. Do you see how it all comes together? Tonglen is a practice that grows our ability to self, other, exactly the same. Is it enough to Tonglen when you're standing there with a hungry person and you've got your lunch bag? And you really could say, here, have my lunch, but we don't, we just Tonglen. Tonglen's better than nothing, but maybe we could push our envelope a little bit and hand them our lunch. Pushing ourselves in this practice of learning to relate to others as, he says, as all as one. But it's not that someday we all merge into one big one. Because there can't be a one without an other, can there? And as soon as you have one and other, you've got interaction between, and that makes everything. Our mind stream are all separate and always will be. And they will always include all existing things. Not with every ripening, of course, but there can't be anything that exists outside of your mind stream's projections. We already talked about that. Including you, right? So it's not you sending it all forth, it's you. But it makes your subject side, which is the side part of the mind that is recording, it makes your subject side be the creator of your world, right? That's almost blasphemous to say, right? In a ignorant society, especially in a Christian society, Judeo-Christian society. But it's true. Which is why the love is such an important thing. Because we want to be creating a world that's kind and beautiful and happy. We are closer than we think, as Michael always says. Suppose you object and say that your pain never hurts the body of another. Even so, your pain is something you can't bear for just one reason. You're grasping to yourself. Just so, even though it's true that sufferings others feel never come and strike you, still it is your suffering, since you will find them hard to bear once you grasp to yourself. Right? So just what we've been talking about. The others' pain, I can't feel their pain, but we know it's painful because if they did that to me, I think it would be painful. And by being aware of someone else's suffering and not doing something to act on it, plants the seeds, right? For us having pain and nobody doing anything to help us, right? We know sufferings are hard to bear. So he gives us this logic. I need to switch to our vocabulary here for an instant. Oh. So I'm going to go through this real quickly. Wempa, we know the isolation. Jingwa and Gerpa are dullness and agitation states of mind. They put those together into a contraction, Jingu. Mebe dunya was that suffering from wanting things that we don't have. Yube dunya is that suffering from having to protect and keep and know where they are, things once we have them. Namtok is all these useless thoughts. You know, they're not useless when we're in worldly life. What do I have to do today? Where do I have to be? But they are useless ultimately because they're all driven by self-existent me and my self-existent world. And this is how I am effective. Right? Namtok. Those finally are what settle down after a couple of weeks in the space where you don't have any of that stuff to work on to do. So when those thoughts come up, I have to do this. It's like, sorry, I'm in retreat. Let it go. Gawa is that word for the karmic goodness. Geshe-la says we are karmic millionaires to be sitting in a class hearing about self, other, exactly the same, and not running away. Right? We have such karmic goodness coming out of us to even hear the words Bodhisattva. So pat yourself on the back. And what we're hearing is this extraordinary concept, Dakshen Yamba, me, others, exactly the same. Right? It gets changed to exchanging self for others, putting others ahead of myself. But none of those are exactly right. It's just this simple, me, others, exactly the same. In what way are we exactly the same? That's what we're weaving. Right? We understand it at different levels until we experience emptiness directly with bodhicitta in our heart. And then we'll see that its deepest meaning, Dakshin Yamba. Okay, so when we apply a logical reasoning, there's a method to that. You state your topic of consideration. It's called statement 1. You then give your assertion about that topic. That's called statement 2. And then you give your reason for the assertion. about the topic, that's called statement 3. And then typically you give a fourth statement, which is an example that explains it. Then, to assess whether that reason proves the assertion about this topic, you go through this threefold check. First, you check, does the reason and the topic under consideration, do they have a relationship? Does the reason actually pertain to the topic? If there is a relationship between the two of them, then we can go on with our assessment. If they don't, then you drop the whole argument and start over. If they do, your next check is you look at the reason and you check if the reason were true in my world, not whether it's true, but just if it were, would that necessarily mean that the assertion given would also have to be true? If we go, no, you drop the whole argument and start over. If we go, yes, then we check the third relationship. We negate the reason. No, sorry, we negate the assertion. And if the assertion negated is true, not whether it's true, but if, would that necessarily also negate the reason? If it won't, you drop the whole thing, start over. If it does have these three relationships holding, then we have an airtight logical statement for the assertion about the topic. If the three don't hold, you throw the whole thing out, right? Your assertion is wrong. Even if the assertion is right about the object, if the reason you give is wrong, the whole thing's wrong. Okay, so the reason I'm showing you that is because Master Shantideva gives us a couple of logical syllogisms to help us work with our resistance to me, others, exactly the same. Okay, ready? So now let's go back. Maybe I don't need those. So here's his first syllogism. Consider the pain of other beings. It is right that I must stop it. That's the assertion. The reason? Because it is pain. It is, for example, like the pain that I feel myself. So, first statement, the topic, consider the pain of other beings. Assertion, it's right that I must stop it. I must act to help them. Why do I say that? Statement 3, my reason. Because it's pain. The example, it's just like pain that I feel in my own body, my own being. So let's check the syllogism. Statement 1 and statement 3 the pain of other living beings. It's pain. Statement 3 is it's pain. I think that holds. Statement 2, if the reason is true, does that necessarily make the assertion true? If there's pain, is it necessarily true that I must stop it? Like, and check your mind. It's like, well, just because there's somebody else is having pain, why is it my responsibility? But think about it deeper. Why is it my responsibility? All right, let's soften it. It's my opportunity. What if we were to say, consider the pain of other beings, it's my opportunity to stop it. Why? Because it's pain. That's a little softer. Maybe it's easier to go, okay, it's my opportunity. But he's saying we must act to help. It's our obligation. Let's look at it more deeply, though, to see if it's true that because it's pain, then it's right that I must act. If we see pain and we don't act, what imprints are we making in our mind? To have pain and nobody help us. Is that what we want? Is that the world we're trying to make? Even if we're ignorant, are we satisfied with a world where I'd be in some kind of pain and nobody would help me? No, we don't want that. That would be another kind of pain. So if we have a certain amount of wisdom and bodhicitta already, then we could say it's true that because there's pain, if I can be aware of pain, then it's right that I should do something. So if we accept that, then we go to the next. If we negate the assertion, does it necessarily negate the reason? If I don't need to act to help them, does that necessarily negate there being pain? If there's a situation where I don't need to step in and help anybody, does that necessarily mean that there's no suffering going on? It's like, what? Geshe said, think of it this way. Is there any circumstance that we might see somebody in where we would not want to step in to interfere to make it stop? How about Sarani eating triple berry pie? Like, don't step in and take my plate away before I've finished. We wouldn't want to stop someone's pleasure, would we? Interfere with somebody's pleasure? It's a little tricky, this one. So, does 1 and 3 hold? Yes. If there's pain, it's right for me to act to take it to help it. If it's not right for me to help it, does that mean it's not pain? Really? So you'd step in to stop somebody's pleasure? It's not what the words are saying, isn't it? Wouldn't we step in to try to help their pleasure go on? But they say that proves the point, because we either don't step in to stop someone's pain, or we somehow step in and increase their pain. His point is, and we can cook it, we don't have to feel the other's pain to recognize it as pain. We just have to care that the pain that we are perceiving is happening. And because we're aware of it, we act to try to stop it. Can what we do in the moment stop it in the next moment? Actually not. Which is why we must try. Because if we don't try, can that stop it? No. And that plants the seed for nobody to try to help us. Plants the habit of not helping. He does the opposite as well. Oh, Geshe-la didn't give it to us. No, he does. No, he doesn't. So wait, don't look at this one yet. Let's go back to the other. Geshe-la went through it like this. Maybe it'll help. Do other people have pain? Yes. Is it like my pain? It might be less, it might be more. Where does their pain come from? Their karma. Where does my awareness of their pain come from? My karma. Whose pain, whose karma am I actually aware of? Mine or theirs? Mine. I don't really know how they are experiencing what I'm seeing them experience, do I? Even when they're trying to describe it to me, it's my experience. It's my seeds ripening what I understand it about. So whose responsibility is the pain that I can be aware of? Me. Ouch. Why? Because there's pain. Because I can perceive pain, I must do something about it. What can I do? All that pain's halfway around the world from me. Right? Tonglen. I can tonglen. I can care. I can be more kind in the place that is around me, in order to change those seeds for what I perceive, hear about, come to know about, that's beyond my direct senses. It's still my seeds ripening. So we've been mostly talking about pain, and I don't know, my mind thinks of physical pain. But mental afflictions are pain too. So if we can even be aware of another's mental affliction, it's their karma ripening their mental affliction, and it's our karma ripening for what we see, what we are experiencing, them experiencing. Do you see how deep this goes? As long as we keep limiting our care of ourselves to this stupid boundary, we will just perpetuate our own and others' unhappiness, says Geshe-la. Just think of what it would be like if everyone were going around helping each other as naturally as we used to go around just helping ourselves and our loved ones. That's Buddha paradise. So Master Shantideva says the same goes for happiness. Let's consider others' happinesses. It is something I should work to bring about because that one over there is a living being. Consider that other being's happiness. It's something I should work to bring about because they are a living being. So consider other people's happiness. They are living beings. 1 and 3. That fits. Apparently, a rock that has no self-awareness doesn't have happiness and doesn't have suffering. You have to have consciousness to have happiness or suffering. If 3, then 2. If there is a living being, then their happiness is something I should work to bring about. Yeah. If I want happiness, the only place it comes from is helping somebody else be happy. Trying. Third statement. Third check. If you negate number 2, does it negate number 3? If there's something I should not work to bring about, it makes that other not a living being. Huh. Should I ever not work to bring about happiness in a living being? If there were no other living beings, would there be anything to work to bring about happiness in? No. So it does actually fit. Just because there are other living beings, we work to bring them a little bit of happiness. Why? Because we want happiness. We know that happiness is pleasurable. The only place our happiness comes from is trying to help someone else be happy. That someone else needs to be a conscious being. Trying to help a rock be happy won't help our happiness. Geshe-la says it's deeply profound, these two statements, logical syllogisms. So he gives another consideration. When we are working for our own happiness, and we get some happiness by way of what we did, we have created the happiness of one being. And technically, it's changing, it's fleeting. But when we are working for the happiness of others, we're not limited to one being's pleasure. We actually experience our own pleasure and the pleasure of seeing others in pleasure. That's bigger than just our own pleasure. It's a motivating piece to recognize. It's also a clue as to why our bodhicitta is for the sake of all sentient beings, not leaving a single one out, when the difference between nirvana and Buddhahood is omniscience. Like this all plays a part in growing the seeds for our omniscience, is working out this, how we can be me and other necessarily, and yet me and other are exactly the same. Like they are a part of me. They are an extension of me, and still they are other. And why then we act towards them in the same way that we act towards our own body or our own mind, in order to grow our kindness, to go beyond the kindness towards myself and towards my loved ones, to grow it big enough that our wisdom can then take us to the omniscient state. There's clues in all of this. So Geshe-la says, start small. We've just proved to ourselves that every suffering we see anywhere, we should do something to stomp it out. Anywhere we go, we should do something to bring a little happiness to somebody, whether it works or not. And it feels too big. Way too big. Start with carrots and potatoes. Take some happiness that you would like and go plant it in somebody else. And just get used to doing that in your immediate world. Take flowers to the secretary. Take a cup of coffee to your coworker. Just surprise them that you thought of them on your way to work. Ask the checkout lady how she's doing, instead of just ignoring her. Pay attention. Smile. Be uplifting to the best of our ability. Okay, now let's go on. Given the fact that both myself and others are exactly the same in wanting happiness, what difference could there ever be between us? What reason that I work only for happiness for myself? Given the fact that both myself and others are exactly the same in not wanting pain, what difference could there ever be between us? What reason that I protect myself and not all others? Why is my happiness more important than others' happiness? It's just a mistaken understanding, isn't it? Me, others, exactly the same in wanting happiness. From an ignorant perspective, me, others, exactly the same in not understanding where happiness actually comes from. Which is why I then put my happiness as more important than your happiness. When I understand where happiness actually comes from, your happiness, my happiness, will come from the same seed, will come from the same, right? It will be the same. You enjoying pumpkin pie will give me as much pleasure as me enjoying triple berry pie. And I don't even have to get the calories. I can have the pleasure of triple berry pie by watching you eat pumpkin pie. Imagine. Okay, yes, Joanna's got a question and Frank's got a question. I'm almost done, but go ahead.
So the one thing is, so why is this logical reasoning so important? So what purpose does it serve? So I understand in my heart helping the other ones is very important, and I also understand that there is a decision that I make between the others and me are completely willkürlich, random. So, and I can take it away because it's random. I can see this. I can totally understand. But for what is this logical thinking necessary?
Right. Because the seeds that we have in our heart that says, yes, I can get it, there will be a limit. There will come a circumstance where it will be beyond our emotional ability to hold to that principle. Something will be so bad that it's like, no, in this case, it doesn't hold. Whereas if we've proved something with this to the exclusion of all other possibility, even when we meet up against that circumstance that our heart is saying no, our logic is supposed to kick in and say, no, no, heart, it is still true, even in this circumstance. So the logic without the heart, we don't act on. But the heart without the logic will reach a limit to our ability to hold it because of ignorance, because of our belief in self-existent me. Yeah, we resist using logic. And once we catch on, it's not hard at all. And you'll find that you're doing it frequently in making our life's decisions. We're using logic, and the problem is we're using faulty logic to coming to a conclusion. And that's why we fight with each other, because we use faulty logic. And that's course 13 coming up later this year.
Advertising.
Yeah. Joanna, you had a question too.
And now he had 2 questions.
I think it's done with your answer. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm. So in the same way that if we work for just one person's happiness, we get one person's happiness result. But if we work for infinite beings' happiness, we get infinite beings' happiness as a result. We feel it. Our happiness is that much bigger by way of our efforts to help multiple beings be happy. Same with pain. If we work to avoid this one's pain, we only stop one pain. If we work to help all others' pain, our own pain relief is all pain relief. Do you see? It's the difference between nirvana and omniscience. So this self, other, exactly the same. It's growing these seeds for our total Buddhahood just by trying to practice it. It's one of the methods for gaining our bodhicitta, the wish to reach total enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, growing the goodness that grows the result of our direct perception of emptiness. Right? There's another method, the sevenfold cause and effect. We learned that someplace else. Master Shantideva's preferred method, self, other, exactly the same. Where me ends and other begins is arbitrary. It's pushed by karma. So it's happening. But the way that it's happening pushed by karma includes our sense of limitation, and it doesn't have to. We can decide, I want to change my belief in the boundary between me and other. And if you remember from the death meditation practice, it was the ice cream parlor, and there's the little round table, and it's got the string around both, and you step inside the string, and it represents expanding this sense of self to include the other. So now I have 2 mouths and 4 arms and 4 legs, and as that one partakes, right, this one partakes, not functionally, but karmically speaking, in the same way that the mother with the infant is so satisfied when the baby is satisfied. Right? She doesn't feel the same thing the baby's feeling, but they are both content. If we can do that with an infant, we can do that with any other. We can grow the ability to do it with any other, let's put it that way, by trying. First with those others where it's easier to try, and then pushing ourselves to doing it with others that are a little more familiar, and then pushing to do it with others we don't even know, and then pushing to do it with others we don't like. It's a practice. It won't turn on overnight necessarily unless we've got that goodness from seeds. We have extraordinary goodness because here we are. We can use it to make more. So Geshe says, as long as we draw the boundary between us, we will never be happy. As we move that boundary to include others, happiness begins, and it will take us to our ultimate goal. And he says, even if there's no such thing as total enlightenment, it's still a liberating and fun way to live. Just start with carrots and potatoes. Little ways of demonstrating to yourself that you care about that other being as much as you care about yourself. Even 50% as much is better than what we usually do. Start with little ethical kindnesses towards others, thinking of them as extensions of you. Dakshinyamba. I think there's a little bit more here. Nope, there's your outline. Ah, yes, Joanna.
I was just wondering that modern psychology has it the wrong way around then, because they usually say you have to take care of yourself. And when you are happy, then you are able to give happiness to others, or you can care for others too, but you have to first serve yourself, or you can never get happy if you just focus on yourself. So am I having it right? It's like dead end somehow.
Yeah. So if we are thinking that if we're misunderstanding this practice and we're thinking it means I can't be happy until I'm bringing happiness to everybody else, then I need to start from where I am unhappy and then use others to create my happiness. And if we're in that state of believing I need to start out unhappy, then our ignorance will prevent us, right? We'll feel like doing this exchanging self and others is something that somebody told us to do and I have to do, and it'll make us actually more unhappy. So it's not contradictory to say, yes, you yourself can need to be happy in order to share happiness. But we can't be happy without having had shared happiness. So somewhere along the line, we need to step in and say, okay, I do have a certain amount of happiness. It came from helping others. I'm going to use it to help others. But it's not like the happiness that I have, I put into a box and I hand it to you. That's what psychology is kind of thinking. I have to be happy in order to give you happiness. So they're not wrong in saying that, but the conclusion is, okay, then when I want to go shopping for a new handbag, in order for me to be nicer to my kids, I should go shopping for the new handbag because that will make me happy. Do you see? It's like the conclusion is misunderstood, even though the instruction is nothing wrong with the instruction. Right? If we're sad and unhappy and mean, we're going to say, well, if I can't give other people happy until I'm happy, well, just okay, forget it. Whereas technically, when we're sad, unhappy, and mean, what our counselor should say is go buy flowers for the secretary, whether you want to or not. Just go do it. And watch her smile. Right? And later on, at the end of the day, remember, oh my gosh, it looked like I made the secretary a little bit happy. Okay. And, I don't know whether psychologists say that or not. Our minds resist, right? We want to resist. We want technically, well, from my own side, like I want to change the world and bring about all kinds of happiness and wonderful things, but I myself don't actually want to change. It's like, it's so frustrating. Who needs to change?
Yeah, I had this discussion recently with a friend of mine, and she said that like me first. So I want to be happy. So focusing on myself, on my own needs. And I try to kind of figure out how to make my way through. Yeah, but you can only be happy if you focus on others' happiness as well.
Yeah.
And there was no way. No, me first.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. And I really was like, okay, so you first then, but try to be happy by what?
Yeah, right. By what? You say what kinds of things make you happy?
Yeah.
Or you mean that would be the way to go rather than arguing with me first.
No, and then, but it's also, it didn't include anybody else. It was like going to a sauna or really just taking care of yourself. But then it's a dead end anyway, because it's not always making you happy to do
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, but it was a good way to lead the track better.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's really tricky. And what if that person isn't really there to have a discussion about it with you? They're not really checking whether that's right or not. Or maybe they're even there to convince you, Joanna, you're trying to please people all the time. And it just, you need to think about yourself a little bit more, right? We see it on TV programs all the time. You know what you need, blah, 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 blah. And what's our reaction to that? Okay, thank you very much. So no wonder when we try to bring our wisdom, people go, no. It's pretty tricky. Sweet. Okay. Okay, let's do our dedication and then I'll answer Kong Lee's long question, but I'll shut the recording off so you can go if you need. So remember that person that we wanted to be able to help. We heard some crucial stuff today. Planted some incredible seeds that as they grow, they will bring about the end of that other's pain and ignorance. And that's an extraordinary goodness. So please be extra happy with yourself for your seeds for this class ripened and replanted. Think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please stay close, to continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into our hearts. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good, we want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person, to share it with everyone we love, to share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness, filled with wisdom, and may it be so. I love this class. I forget how much I love this class until I'm reading it again to prepare it. And then it's like, oh man. I remember first meeting it and knowing it was something really special. And then listening to it, like every time I was driving to work and back, I had that audio in my car. And then I started sharing it, teaching it. And then it just got deeper and deeper. And then as I, went into all my retreats, I recognized that it had planted such extraordinary seeds in my mind for understanding things at levels that I would not have gotten to, like just this one class, based on all the others, of course, but exchanging self, no, me, other, exactly the same. So critical. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share it again. May you get a chance to do it someday. Share it with somebody, truly. All right, I'm stopping the recording. Have a lovely weekend. I will see you Monday.